And then can we also have the candidates for the Events and Trading Officer and the Union Chair role, and cue the VT.
The candidate for
People still don't know until they know that they can stand and stuff. Then they start getting interested. So it's it's difficult.
But comms is really hard.
Yeah.
That's why people make millions of pounds in comms and marketing.
Just one.
Right, you're going to have to introduce yourselves because that was just an absolute rubble of rubbish. No, not to the people who made that video, but for some reason it came out wrongly. So, do you want to introduce yourselves from the left?
Hi, I'm Alex O'Farrell. It's my second year at Surrey, and I'm currently studying economics.
And what are you running for?
Events and trading.
I'm Bilal Hussain. I'm running for Events and Trading Officer. I'm from Glasgow, and I'm a first year studying economics and finance.
Hello, my name's Simona, not Elena like over there. They've used my first name instead of my campaign name. I'm not quite pleased about that.
I didn't draw those or stick them up.
I'm just stating it. And I'm a first year politics and economics student running for Union Chair.
Round of applause. Oh, we got speed challenge. Okay, so. Right. So we'll start off with a question for Union Chair. This was a preset question. An events opinion panel was held a few weeks ago, widely advertised. Nobody turned up. Nobody turned up.
I'm sorry, Charlie, I believe that's not my question.
When
I think
it
it's for
comes-
the events and trading.
It says Union Chair above it, so I apologise. You can have the question. There we go, we all made mistakes. Events opinion panel was held a few weeks ago, widely advertised, nobody turned up, including yourselves. When it comes to events and trading, do students just vote with their feet? That goes to Alex.
Okay, firstly I would ask, how exactly was this advertised? You said it was widely advertised. I personally had no clue that this was on. Had it been on, I would have attended. Can I just get a quick show of hands? Who knew about this meeting?
For the camera.
it implies to me that there might be a division between the part-time officers and the full-time sabbaticals, which ultimately can lead to ineffective union. And third of all, as a union chairperson, it would be my duty not to let this disagreement happen in the first place and to strive for consensus. So therefore, my answer to this question is that I should not take sides because the situation should not exist in the first place. I should not take sides when making a decision to vote because we should all agree with each other and have consensus before I vote. And I should not take sides with any of the union staff because I represent your interests and not their interests.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Can we confirm that that is streaming online? Because we're getting mixed messages. Can it be heard online now? Okay, it can now. It went out for a little bit, but most of that went through. Okay, so we looked at the manifestos. Surprise, surprise. And first of all, I want to draw my attention to Alex. It's going to be very difficult to ask you a specific question on your manifesto because you didn't submit one. Ooh. First time I've been able to say that, so I quite enjoyed that. It's not just that you missed the 5 p.m. deadline and the very generous midnight extension. You didn't submit one at all. What were you doing that evening? But why haven't you submitted one? Does this mean... What does this say about you as a candidate, basically? That's what we're all wondering.
Obviously, I predicted this question. I think there was only one other person that didn't submit a manifesto, and I'm pretty sure they pulled out of the running. However, unfortunately, I had more pressing family issues that meant I had been home for the last 2 weeks, and I've not been communicating with the rest of the world. However, I have been moving forward. I've come up with some ideas and some great projects I'm already working on, which hopefully can make up for my lack of a manifesto. I will make those clear to you tomorrow online, and I can talk about them tonight if the opportunity arises.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Right, Bilal, you say that you want students to be able to choose their events, okay? So we had this, I'm going to go back, based on what you've written down in your manifesto, to the events opinion panel. Widely advertised on Facebook, absolutely nobody turned up. You didn't turn up. These people here, a third of the audience knew about it, okay? So we've gone with the communications issue. We've spoken to the communications officers. So are students just not interested in the events we hold? Or more to the point, are you?
I'll just repeat the same thing I said before.
I don't think that's a good idea. I'll just say, I don't think that's a good idea.
I wasn't aware of it. If I was, I would have shown up for sure. I've joined societies, I've attended their meetings, and I'm more than willing to devote my time to this position.
Okay, that's nice. Can you answer the question? Do you think students are really interested in which events we hold? More to the point, are you?
I'm really interested. To be honest, it's a personal opinion. I bought tickets for a surprise guest in Rubik's. It was Annie Mac. I wasn't very pleased, and I know a lot of people that weren't pleased. And again, the voting system would work really well in this case, and using social media to the best of our advantage. Not just Facebook. I'm not talking about just Facebook. Talking about making a Twitter hashtag every week for events, and Instagramming pictures of the union and just asking questions like that. There's a lot of social media that we can use as well.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to stay with the events and trading for now. I think we're getting some interesting things. So you've mentioned an event you didn't enjoy. Both of you, can you name an event that you did enjoy, just quickly?
I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Every year, varsity, without doubt. That's
so
the best
varsity,
event.
okay.
Just one event.
Just one.
Freshers Week, Headphone Disco.
Headphone Disco, okay. That's fair. I think Headphone Disco. VP Sports organises varsity, okay. That's not really to do with the events and training officer. Do either of you have a favourite, specifically non-alcoholic event?
Like a sport.
Like an event where you don't drink alcohol? Sorry, I stumbled on my words there. This is non-alcoholic.
Well, I've actually been sober since New Year's, so I've seen a lot of the non-alcoholic scene. And as much as you can go along to a Wednesday night Rubik's, sober doesn't quite have the same.
You've seen a lot of it. So which non-alcoholic event is your favourite that's been hosted by the union in your time here? You've seen a lot of the scene.
I'd have to say when
He's got the events planner with him. Wise.
I was just double checking. I haven't actually been on any, I'm not going to lie. But the trips to Bournemouth...
How did you see a lot of the scene?
No, as
Facebook.
In when I've been out to...
You've been to drinking events, stayed sober.
Yeah.
Okay, that's different.
Okay.
So, what's your favourite non... this isn't about sports. This
The
is
market
about...
on Thursdays, the food market.
The food market.
Stay
Okay.
healthy.
That's a good answer.
Okay, okay.
I got it written here as well.
So, some people are upset that you're referring to that as... Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. That's not fair. Stop. Sorry. That's not an event. It happens.
Well,
you could just say this.
Nah, not this.
That's what I'd say.
I'm being grilled here. Why would I say this? There was a question. There was a movie night here, which I really enjoyed.
So we'll be on that question now.
Okay.
We got any questions? I was going to stick one more question. I think people are really interested in events and that kind of thing. Any questions from the crowd or comments or I think something people can relate to? Hopefully, anything at all? Is that do you want to ask a question? No, I'm not going to push people to ask a question. Anyone else? Okay, so you're going to have to shout if you have one, because, okay, we've got one. Right, we've got a roaming mic needs to, I think it's quiet at the moment.
Yeah. Hello?
There we go.
Yeah,
thank you.
What experience do both of you have in events that makes you suitable for this role as events and trading officer?
Okay, and that doesn't mean going to these events, right? This means, or not going, be that. Okay, so we'll go with Bilal first.
I've actually been involved in a lot of international events. I've played in the Scottish National League. I've been scouted by the Scotland coach for hockey. And so I've played in front of me. I've played under pressure. I've played in front of the governor of Punjab in Pakistan in football. We got to the Scottish Cup finals in volleyball.
Sports are events.
I'm just getting away from sports now. I helped organize an organization called CHEN. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an organization that helps women suffering from domestic abuse. I helped in the opening of that, and I regularly work for them for
It's not an event.
This was the opening of their company, but okay. And I helped organize Charities Week for my school, which included lunchtime shows and just raising money for charity, and included me participating in it and organizing it.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go next to Alex. Experience?
So the events and trading officer is supposed to make events that hit a diverse set of students, because obviously we're a diverse university, we want to cater to everyone. I'm currently social sec of the rugby club, which has a very hectic social lifestyle, and that has given a lot of experience, especially because typically in previous years people have been put off rugby because it's been seen, the social scene has been coming back to alcohol, too heavy on alcohol.
Still, that's not really, that's getting a little bit off the point. I think both of you should have just run for VP Sports, if I'm honest. But
well, I was going to say...
Ron is a candidate. I'm not saying who to vote for. I'm telling you that it's only fair. I'm going to move on to Union Chair for a bit. I think that's only fair. She is the only candidate other than Ron. So, as Union Chair, you clearly have to make a lot of difficult decisions. Are you in your first year?
Yes.
Also? What experience do you have being a first year going into this? This is the only student trustee role. So on the trustees board, there's the 5 sabbatical officers, and then there's external trustees, and then 1 student trustee. Really important position that you'll be holding. So what experience do you have in your first year of university which will enable you to fulfill that role effectively?
I am at the moment a student representative. I think I've dealt with quite a few major issues since my degree is a new one for the School of Politics, and I think I've helped quite a lot to enhance the student experience for this course.
What's a student representative?
Do you want a definition?
Yes.
Or
course rep. Do you mean a course rep?
yes.
Okay, it's just if you are one, perhaps there's comments coming in. Do you know what it is?
I liaise with the academia and relate issues forth and back, and the solved issues as well.
Okay. Do you think maybe it's a lot to take on as a first year position? Think you're the first year to run for this in recent memory?
Not at all. I think it's going to be a positive experience for me. I think I have a lot to offer to the union, and I think I can take in a lot more from the union as a person. I don't think it's a position that needs so much experience, and a position that you can't learn by doing it. And I believe I can do that.
Okay. Is there anything specific outside of the university, so giving you opportunity, before you came to university, where you've demonstrated leadership, demonstrated an ability to lead? Because the union chair is the chair, clearly, kind of gives clues in the name, of the executive committee and some other committees, which I can't remember, if I'm honest.
I can name them for you.
There we go. I will give you the opportunity to name them.
It's the Board of Trustee, is the Student Parliament, the
That was a dangerous one. The Student Parliament doesn't exist.
Oh, it's still on the union website, so it's not my fault the information is not correct.
Because it doesn't exist. And so we do have an issue with communications, clearly. You guys, talking about communications, so we'll go back to the issue of communications. So, sports. You're interested in sports, you're interested in Facebook, you're interested in communicating things. So how will you communicate to those who are perhaps abusing an area of Rubik's, hypothetically, and excluding others from it? Would you say that, if that were to arise, how would you deal with that? First of all, Bilal.
Could you repeat the question?
If there is a group of individuals who are using or excluding other students from a specific area of the Students' Union building, i.e. Rubik's, what would you do to combat that, if anything?
Like what? Could you give me an example?
I'm not going to give you an example.
Still don't understand the question.
Do you really not understand? Or are you just playing my role?
No, I'm not.
All right, you're not asking the questions, and you're also not answering the questions. So, Alex, I'll give you an opportunity. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I do understand what you're talking about. Firstly, I'd ask, is it an issue? If certain people in their shirts and ties want to stick to a certain corner, that is up to them. If it's not causing a problem for everyone, then leave them to it.
The rugby club is not protected. You're allowed to say rugby.
I was just generally talking, anyway. And that's something that, if it did become an issue, the bouncers have to talk to and get in contact with the committee of that sport, in this case, rugby.
Okay. I'll go back to Bilal. Bilal, is rugby corner a problem?
Kind of is, yeah, but...
Why? What's the problem?
You shouldn't really be excluding other people from a corner, to be honest, in any case, but tackling it would be hard, but...
Yeah, that was a brilliant pun. Let's get a round of applause.
But if you report these things to the sabbatical officers, I mean, I know the part-time officers don't have enough power to do something about it, but if you report this enough to sabbatical officers...
Is that what you'll defer to? You think, I don't think I can fix that issue, I'm going to report it, I don't have power.
A part-time officer should be a bridge between the students and the sabbatical officers, I believe. And
that's a little bit different than I don't have power, so I'll report
I mean,
it. Let's be clear.
The sabbatical have more power than the part-time officer. They can have more of an influence on these people.
You have exactly the same number of votes on all of the committees that you sit on with sabbatical officers.
Okay, I'll do something about it then.
Okay. Alex, do you think it's a problem? Specifically?
Obviously, I have a slightly biased view, but I don't think it's a problem. If it is a problem...
Why do you have a biased view?
Because I play rugby.
Okay.
Go
ask, not everyone knows that.
Well, just go... Anyway, I'm sure we'll hear about it on Twitter if people think that's a problem, and if it is a problem, that is something immediately, whether I get elected or not, I can deal with.
I don't want to target specific clubs. I have not brought that up to target specific clubs. Obviously, every time that's brought up, that will be seen as a target. So I'm happy to take the flak for that, if you like. But that's not specifically like that. There are other areas of Rubik's which are perhaps termed as problem areas in that sense. Let's not shout out and abuse them. You are a VP Sports candidate. You should be all-inclusive. So, any questions from the crowd? This direction, yeah. Okay. Desperate to ask a question over here. So, it's a question from the current events and trading officer, presumably for the events and trading. I will come back over to Union Chair. It's just these guys are kind of asking for it at the moment.
Can you hear me? Hello? Yeah. So obviously events and trading, you deal with obviously the event side. Are you aware of the other aspects of the role that you have to fulfill? Are you aware of any other committees or panels that you might have to sit on as part of your role?
So that goes first of all to Bilal.
I know I get on the Union Executive Committee. And that
I told you that about 3 times, about a minute ago.
I read it last week. But
where we need to deal with that. Stop. Don't clap that. Don't clap. Clap this. So you're running for a position where you weren't aware that you will have a vote on the executive committee until a week ago.
It was when I applied for the position. It was in the description of the position.
Okay.
And I'm not
so address that as well as the exec. Anything else? Just list them off. I think Peter wants you to list them off.
That's all I think. To be honest.
Alex, any more?
Not that I'm aware. However, you will need a tight relationship with Jay Johnson, who's the entertainments manager. At the moment.
Staff don't exist.
Okay.
Please don't give names. Sorry, that's the rule.
Sorry. Whoever is the entertainments manager.
You don't know? Do you know any other panels or committees or anything?
No.
No. Do you want to answer that question? Can we turn the roaming mic on again? Yeah, go for it.
Hello. So as the events and training officer, you not only sit on the union executive, you are also on the management committee with the 5 other sabbaticals, and you're the only part-time officer on that committee. And you also are on the disciplinary panel, so if anybody misbehaves in any of the union venues and they're brought for the disciplinary panel, you are sitting on that along with the VP Welfare and 2 other full-time staff members, and you ultimately decide students as...
Were you aware of that?
Disciplines?
No.
Okay, at least they're honest. At least they're honest. Okay, so as union chair, you'll be working very closely alongside the president. Who is your number 1 for president? Bear in mind, this is a closed election. I'm not telling you that you have to vote for the person that you say. This is just question time.
I don't have a strong favourite at the moment. I think I'm still waiting to see what they can offer.
You don't have a strong favourite. Do you have any preference at all, having read the manifestos, having done all your research and speaking to people, anything at all? Or you have absolutely no idea?
I am inclined to vote Maz if he convinces me tonight.
Okay. Do we have any questions for either side of the table? Peter's hand went straight up, and then I'll go over to the back.
This is a question for Union Chair. So how would you work with the communications officer, whoever that may be, to make the students aware of the activities that the trustees board do? And because there's various decisions that have happened over the last year to do with the CEO and finding a new CEO and various other things. How would you make sure that those are communicated to students?
How would I make sure that those are communicated to students?
The membership of the union.
As the union chair.
I think, first of all, one of my duties is to make the minutes of the meetings available to students. I don't think I can physically do anything about the website and the way they're publicised, but as for...
it is your duty as union chair to ensure that the minutes are publicised.
Yes, but if the website's not working properly...
But there is something you can do just to counteract that. I think Peter's nodding. What are you going to do to make that better?
I'll put... I will get the people that are involved in communication, like the communications officer, perhaps...
You'll ask other people to do it?
No. I'll put them together and we'll find a solution together.
Okay. There's another question at the back over here.
This one's for events and trading officer. You've put a lot of emphasis on Rubik's and social media, but how or what events are you going to do for the people that maybe aren't on social media or don't go to Rubik's?
Yeah, good question. I don't use Facebook other than for these elections to see what abuse has been written. It's not nice, might delete it. So what are your proposals? Well, we'll start off with Alex this time.
Well, I have been thinking about some more university-wide social events that everyone can get involved in, such as silly things like campus-wide Easter egg hunts. It would be good fun and everyone can join in.
How are you going to advertise it if it's not on Facebook?
Just posters around campus, Stag Radio, Stag Bite, like the newspaper, and just if it's not on the internet, then it's going to have to be publicised.
What is Stag Bite?
StagTV.
What's the bite bit?
Well, they give that little news bite.
The award-winning news bite. Yeah, they're probably cheering downstairs right now, and they say they should be. Bilal?
Well, in this age, I'm pretty sure most people use Facebook or some sort of social media. Even if they don't, there's...
No, they're not. In this
TV.
question, they're not.
Okay, StagTV, then they use YouTube. You have to use YouTube. StagTV, I watch news by...
No, they don't use YouTube.
So
We're not going to define social media. The question is if they don't
if
have a computer
caves,
or a phone, right? There are some people who don't use any of those things. Some people do work... Please don't interrupt. Some people do work. They're in the library. They're not sitting there on YouTube. Contrary to popular belief, how are you going to appeal to them?
The Chancellor's has a couple of screens on there. Rubik's has screens in it. And if you publicize it properly and on... Well, if they don't have internet, you can post it.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get told off for interrupting you again, but I will interrupt you again. They're not in Chancellors and Rubik's because they haven't been invited and they don't know anything's happening yet.
No, but...
No, they aren't.
Okay.
So, how are you going to... I am giving you an opportunity to show that you will be a good events and trading officer.
If they're in the library, supposing they're in the library 24/7, and okay... There's always stalls. There's always stalls in the library. They're selling cakes and stuff. You could always put posters up, or you can have even me, just publicizing or advertising the events.
Okay, I'm not going to labour this any further. I think we need to go back to Alex. Give Alex a little bit of a chance. How are you going to push it?
If they don't exist on any form of technology, then it's going to have to be word of mouth and leaflets and posters.
Okay. So I got to scroll up. This is quite a long time ago. This year's exec committee have been debating whether exec, this is the union chair, whether exec is a thinking committee or a doing committee. There's a lot of there's uncertainty about what they should be doing. Should they be sitting there saying, right, let's do this, let's implement policy, or should they be thinking? What do you think?
I think they should do both.
Can't answer both. You cannot answer both. I'm going to ask you here, because it is written down, it is constituted that they are one thing. I'm not going to tell you which one it is unless you already know. So which do you think they should be? Because it is constituted that they are one thing.
But you can't
Which do you think it should be? Well, that's the question.
You can't do without thinking first.
Well, I don't mean literally. They are obviously going to think, but should their sole purpose be as a thinking committee or a doing committee?
Broadly speaking, a doing committee.
What do you think this year's executive has voted?
I'll go with doing.
No, they have yet to reach a conclusion.
Okay.
However, it is constituted that they are a thinking committee. Okay. It's a tough question. It's always going to be a tough question. So, great crowd. Thank you, everyone, so far. Do we have any more questions? There's some really good ones coming up. One over here. And sorry, I can only just see you. Next time you're right at the back, you're going to have to shout or something. So, Leonie, we're going to go here, and then we'll go to the back. Who's your question to?
The events
and trading. And at the back, who's your question to? It's to events and trading. Okay, so we'll take 2 events and trading, so if we can pass that back after you've asked yours.
Well, pretty much you both said you're part of societies already. What have you actually done in them societies that sort of support, that show you've got like, I don't know, not evidence, experience for your role?
Yeah, speak into the microphone. I can't hear you.
What in you're both part of societies. What have you done in your societies that shows you've got experience in your role? So how have you helped with events and trading in the societies that you're part
within your
of?
societies. And if you can pass the mic back and take another question, these are the last 2 we're going to take on events and trading from the floor. So wait a second, we'll just hear the second question.
Okay, so your role is events and trading, the second part being trading. Based on your research for this job, what is the biggest challenge you feel facing trading at the University of Surrey Students' Union? Not, however, it cannot be that students have less money in a more economic difficult time. That's clearly obvious and a redundant point. What is a more specific point based on evidence?
Voice. I can't see his face, but who gave him the microphone? I'm allowed to say that. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for that. Okay, you got the question? Would you like him to repeat it in clearer terms?
Yeah, no, I got that.
Got it? Right, okay, answer both questions. Alex.
Okay, so first question. Run for rugby this year, but we opened it up to other societies. Fireworks night, which raised money for prostate cancer, and the club raised the most for prostate cancer throughout November. I think about £800 we raised.
Okay, answer the second question.
Could I have the question repeated now, please?
I think the microphone's gone. Biggest challenge faced by University of Surrey Students' Union with respect to trading? Your answer, I guess, is the biggest challenge at the moment. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Currently, no comment.
Seriously, okay. What is the biggest challenge, do you think, in terms of trading?
Well, I have to take a moment.
Okay, take a moment. I'll go to Bilal on the first question.
For Pakistan Society, I'm a first-year rep, and we helped organize a movie and a dinner night. And what was the other thing?
Was it successful?
Well, it was pretty successful.
What did you watch?
We watched, there's a new Pakistani movie, so we watched that, and we went to Nando's, the society paid for it, and it was all paid for society, so it was a really good night out.
I think he had a really good night, everyone. I think he had a really good night. That was passion. Round of applause. Okay, let's give Alex an opportunity. You've had time to think. Let's give Alex an opportunity to answer the second question. I think that's fair.
Rise in food prices. We've got the market on the first day within the union. Currently, yes, fruit and veg is very nice for everyone. It's very cheap. However, the meat and the bread and the other goods sold are quite expensive. It's a lot cheaper to head to Tesco.
Okay, that's the biggest trading problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Bilal, what do you think the biggest trading problem is for the union?
It's in relation to the societies and stuff. If a student wants to join a couple of societies, it's quite costly for them to join a couple of societies because it's like £30 each for something. There should be something like they can join two for a reduced price.
Okay.
Like sports society. Clubs.
Okay, right, okay. I think when you start talking about clubs and societies, yeah, there is a crossover. So I think, in fact, I think we should go to Union Chair question, being reminded about time. So, Simona, as you are also an NUS representative this year, we have downstairs Tony Pearce, who is this year's president of the NUS. This is probably the only opportunity you're going to have to directly ask her a question. At conference, there are thousands of people there. You will not get an audience with her. Down the camera, she's watching. Ask her one question.
I know the Surrey Student Union claims to be apolitical, and I hope it is apolitical. But why do so many students connected to the National Union of Students have such strong political views and want to, let's say, influence others to adopt those views?
Okay, well, I'm sure she'll be up later on with a response to that, hopefully, Tony. Tony will be up on stage shortly. I'm going to wrap up here for these. Can we get a round of applause, first of all? Just wait a second. Wait a second. It's very, very difficult. It's a lot harder to be up here and to do that than it is to tweet and give hate and that kind of thing. So, well done. That was really good from everyone. Okay, so we have a short break, we have some punditry, and then we're going to the first round of the presidents. The first presidents. Wait. Then we're having a break and going to societies. And then we're coming back to the presidents. All sounds good? Okay, so hopefully you're all warmed up. We're going to have to cut there. So, thank you everyone. See you soon.
Hello and welcome back to Pundits Corner. I'm David. You join me back after the Events and Training Officer and Union Chair set of question times. I'll start off going first to Siobhan, who joins us from the Stag. What's been people saying on Twitter?
Well, it didn't go down well that the two events candidates weren't able to name a non-alcoholic event. So first of all, we had, the feed was full of people saying, well, why couldn't you say this, why couldn't you say that? And there's a lot of support for Ron right now, so interpret that how you will.
Yeah, obviously they couldn't name a non-alcoholic event. Is this something that worries about if they're going to be Events and Training Officer, Mike?
I think it is a bit of an issue, yeah. I mean, you've got to have some background to your stand, don't you? I mean, that's like going up for for any role and just not knowing anything about it. Really, that's almost. I mean, yeah, okay, drinking is a big part of student lifestyle. No one's going to deny that, but you have to bear in mind that that's not the only thing. So,
going across quickly to Union Chair, Ollie.
Yeah.
What did you think of her performance? So it's hard when you're the only candidate, really.
I'll confess a bias. I was the only candidate. I was a politics student and I ended up being elected as union chair. The problem is politics students have a bit of a history of failing to get elected, which is always a bit ironic. But, you know, I thought she did a good job. She knew, you know, about the Board of Trustees. She knew about the Student Forum, even though she called it the Parliament. By the way, we should bring back the Students' Parliament, properly constituted organisation, but that's another story. So I think she did a good job, and I think if I were voting in this election, I'd vote for her rather than Ron.
Okay, keeping on Simona, she talks a lot in her, well, it's not a lot in her manifesto, to be honest, but she talks a lot about sort of communication as well, which is obviously we've had earlier. Is communication as a union chair going to be a big issue?
I think it is. I think that Charlie made a really good point earlier that lots of things happen in kind of student life that happen in the student union that people don't get to hear about, that happen maybe in the Board of Trustees, and I think maybe people want to know about that. And I guess maybe it's not about general communication, but there's something really important about transparency and being open and people being able to kind of access what you're doing and say and, you know, hold you to account and that sort of thing. So I guess there's an important communication element and also, you know, a really important communication element in balancing the role of being a student trustee and the chair of union council and working with the sabbatical officers and the part-time officers. I think that is important.
Yeah, she is currently course rep as well. Is that something that's going to help her in her role as she moves to union chair? Just a bit of experience, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. I think being able to speak to students is really important, and I guess it depends whether you're a good course rep or not.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she's doing really good stuff. So I reckon that, you know, being able to have that experience of talking to students and relaying their feedback is really important, and bearing in mind the people that you represent all the time. I think that's something that can be quite difficult, I think, if you're an elected officer and when you're in a position where you need to be pretty objective as a student trustee and as a chair of union council, remembering who you represent and who put you in that position in the first place, I think is really important.
And Osama, she did mention one of her points would make the minutes available. Is that something that students really want to see?
It's which minutes are we talking about?
From the Ed Board.
Exactly. Yes. As far as I remember, the minutes are on the website. You could go to them. I don't think there's any censoring because none of the stuff that we talk about is to be hidden from the students, because at the end of the day we are there to represent their views, and if they want to come and get paper copies, I'm pretty sure that the president or the SABs can facilitate that as well.
Okay, moving back to events and trading, Mike, what did you think of how they interacted with each other and some of the answers they gave?
Well, I mean, they did seem to sit on the fence about a few different bits and pieces. To be honest, it's interesting. I mean, the events and training role, they didn't seem to necessarily have the support behind what their arguments were saying. They were sort of coming up with things that are being challenged. I think a few times there were sort of asked questions that they were stalling on, sort of trying to come up with an answer quickly. So whether they haven't necessarily thought about everything that they need to think about for their role, whether it's a learning aspect so that when they actually get the role they'll have the training so they'll be able to answer those sorts of questions. But yeah, I think they were interacting well, and I think it's going to be a good competition.
Is the fact that they perhaps didn't seem to answer questions perhaps as well as people would have hoped they had in the audience, is that something that's an issue in their campaigns?
Yes, I think Mike has been quite diplomatic there, to be fair. I thought that was a bit of a disaster area, to be honest with you. Neither of them seemed very prepared at all. They didn't really have an answer on the trading. You know, one guy was sort of citing global commodity price as the reason that we're suffering, you know, problems around trading here. You know, one of them looked like he wanted to run for VP Sports, as did the other, who could have run for comms, but none of them had a perspective or manifesto for events and trading. So they just didn't prepare, I'm afraid to say, and in any sort of interview, which is what this effectively is, that's a disaster. So I'm afraid if I were voting, I'd struggle not to vote for Ron on that one.
Sorry, Ken, I disagree with that. I think we've all been up there and I know how nervous people can get. Yes, they are a bit maybe misinformed. They didn't do their background about the role itself, but in terms of having the position there and communicating with the students, I think they both will have their own unique selling points. So just because they didn't do so well as they'd hoped, for example, in this debate, it doesn't mean that they're written off.
The thing is, it's not as if they're not articulate and bright guys. You know, they came across as bright, clever, articulate individuals. They just didn't do the prep on the particular position that they're running for.
I agree, and
their manifestos are the same. So how can you vote on that basis? Well, that's what I mean. You know, these guys want to be the next events and trade. It's one of the biggest elements of what this union does. And these guys are not prepared.
I was really surprised.
They're bright guys. They should be preparing for it.
Sorry, I was surprised about the non-alcoholic event. As ex-president and a non-alcoholic drinker, I went to all the events that were non-alcoholic, and there's so many, from trips to Paris to movie night, and I was really shocked that they couldn't give an answer to that. But we'll see how well they can do to sway the voters.
Well, not having a manifesto is not a greatest start.
No.
Is that something that's going to hinder Alex particularly, do you think, Tony?
I think it'll be difficult. I think, actually, you know, it sounds like he's got a perfectly legitimate reason for missing the deadline, and that's fair enough. Like, I'm not going to go into why he didn't submit a manifesto, but actually, when it comes down to it and people are looking through, trying to find different people's manifestos, I think you have to make kind of some real extra effort to make sure that he gets his message out there and that he gets his manifestos to people in a different way. And that's quite difficult, but I guess that's just an extra challenge for him.
Yeah, one thing they didn't really pick on was what events they could introduce, Mike. Is that something that they should be focusing on, or is it advertising the events that they currently have?
Oh, definitely. You've got to have ideas. I mean, that's what makes you stand out. If you come into this role and you go, well, I've got ideas for like 100 different types of activity. There's non-alcoholic ones, there's alcoholic ones, there's events for all sorts. I don't know, but yeah, you've got to have ideas. That's how you are going to inspire people. If you come into the role and say, well, I want to have a flying night where everyone's on trampolines for the whole evening, then people are going to go, oh, that sounds like a really good idea.
You're going to be the next events and trade.
I mean, health and safety wise, that would be horrendous, but that is what sticks in people's minds, and I think that's what they need to focus on when they're going out and talking to people. It's not a case of necessarily going the tailored line of, oh, well, I'm going to make things better. You need to go, I want to run this night. I think we can improve this by doing this, and it's giving people tangible evidence to support you.
Also evidence. Sorry.
Just about to say, we saw a lot of love for the Easter egg hunt on Twitter. You know, a lot of people were like, oh, that's a great idea. Some were like, yeah, it's not, you know, but
yeah, it's exactly that sort of thing.
That makes it stand out. That's
those
what
ideas
sticks in people's minds. So.
Sorry, I was going to say they need to be realistic aims, but definitely do a bit of research. I mean, you've gone this far. You need to know what the role's about.
But always aim high.
Yes, the sky's the limit. I agree, but you can't be jumping off ceilings.
He's on his flying.
Perhaps, as they didn't suggest any, is that something they should come out and do now? Go around, talk to people?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, after with the sort of the election process, I think it's starting on Thursday or whatever. You need to go out there. I mean, you can't just do this and write a manifesto and sit in your room for the next week or so.
I'll tell you what, why don't they run an event for the next
week? Oh, yes.
There we go. I've just given them an idea. Run an event.
Going out there, meeting people, just sitting down, even if you just walk up to a table in Channy's or something like that, one of the best places to eat on campus, and then you just sit down and just say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm running for this, what do you think of this idea?
Yeah.
And then, okay, they might go, well, that's a really rubbish idea, I don't like that.
Exactly.
But you've then made the effort to go and talk to them.
Yeah, and Bilal mentioned concentrating on social media, and then they struggled to think of any other ways if you didn't have social media. Is that a problem nowadays, that people are too reliant on social media, Ollie?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything more. Yeah,
absolutely.
Obviously.
Is that something that they should be concentrating on then? Not necessarily posters, because I'm not sure who pays attention. Many students pay attention to posters. Is there any other ways apart from perhaps face-to-face that they need to?
You can do banners. You can ask one of the subs to go out, throw a water sponge at them, and that's a way of promoting an event. You know, do loads of different ideas. Not just beatbox to the social media. I know it's easy to do it. Just set up a group and try and promote it, but it becomes in the background. You just press delete.
It's about being creative as well and proactive, like you said. You know, going out there, doing it, drawing people in.
They need to look at what Malcolm Hunt did when he won his presidential campaign. many years ago, probably about 3 years ago. The guy ran the most phenomenal election campaign you'll ever see, and it was a combination of creativity, running events, getting people, you know, in and around, and you know, it's community spirit. That's why he won. He won by a significant margin. So they need to have a look at what he did, and you know, that's the way that they'll win the election. Run good events.
I think in terms of social media, to be honest, the best way of advertising anything is word of mouth.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, this night was really good, this was run by so-and-so, I really want to go to this again. And you see that time and time again with the fancy dress nights, sort of, I don't know, about the trip to France and bits and pieces. It's the experiences that the students have that they pass on, which then other students will go, oh, I've really missed out, I'm really going to go to that next time.
Yeah.
I mean, end of year show, for example, a lot of students won't really know what the end of year show is like until they go.
Yeah.
But they hear about it from other students, and that is what I think sells tickets.
Yeah, moving on, because obviously events is the main role, but trading as well, they've got to mention. They struggle to answer that question. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's difficult because events is something that I suppose is more visible, and maybe if we're running for an events and trading role, you run because you want to do the events. I'm not sure, I reckon if you stood up and just said, I'm running for this position because I'm really interested in trading, I'm not sure that would be a great vote winner. But actually, you know, they clearly need to kind of do some research about trading and what the trading portfolio within University of Surrey Student Union looks like, and like, you know, and where that needs support and how that can be improved. And actually, somebody was saying down here, I can't remember who it was, that, you know, one of the biggest problems that any student union has now is competition in the local area, and that is really hard. And how do you support the commercial services within the student union? Because frankly, that's where the money comes to do all of the other stuff that we're talking about tonight.
Final say on Twitter, Siobhan? Maybe people got their own opinions?
No, not really. I think people liked and didn't like the fact that Simona named a candidate for president, because of course she's going to have to work with whoever wins. So
when I ran into Osama was president, I didn't want Osama or Steph to win, but we worked together very well. So that's all nonsense.
You do get over it.
You do learn to love each other.
I actually admire her, the fact that she actually stood up and just.
Yeah,
she said
that,
and I think her answer was very clever. In fact, she said she'd wait to a president's question time, which obviously is going to play a key role, which is coming up later. We're about to finish off, so the awareness of the roles was not the greatest for the events and trading. Is that something they can learn on the roll? Sorry, I'm going to stop there. Sorry. We've got to finish now. We're going to be heading back to question time, and we've got the first round of presidents.